Listen up, everyone. It's time to get real. No more sugarcoating. No more beating around the bush. It's Empowerment Hour, and we're keeping it 100. The truth will be broadcast loud and clear. It's time to embrace who we are, flaws and all. Let's lift each other up, support one another, and empower ourselves to be the best versions of ourselves. So buckle up, because this hour is all about honesty, growth, and empowerment. Let's do this. Now your host, Ronald T.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening, good evening. How you doing?
Right.
All right, good evening. Welcome to another evening of Empowerment Hour. I am your host, Ronald Thompson, along with my co-host, my brother from another mother, Adrian Walks. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good, sir. How you?
Doing good. All is well. Listen, we are new content creators, keeping it 100. We're here to state the facts, and we will follow the facts wherever it leads us. Okay. We know that we have so many challenges, problems here in the United States of America, and we need to try to figure out what can we do to make this country a better place. Are we doing all that we could do to make this place a better place? Okay, so and one of the problems that we have in this country is crime. And that's what we'll be talking about tonight. Crime in America. We know that crime it disrupts crime in our community. It creates chaos. It really can prevent positive things from happening in our communities. Okay. So what we want to do tonight is, let me share the screen. Okay. And we have a list of 5 questions we're going to speak on tonight to help enlighten us about crime in America. Okay, number 1 thing is, why do people in America, there's different types of crimes, right? Property crimes, violent crimes, there's different types. So why do people in America associate theft, Adrian, with black people?
It's always easy for the general population to criminalize and make the poor, rich class, and the working man justify the problem. That's basically it.
Well, we can hardly hear you.
Huh?
I said we can hardly hear you.
Oh, you know what? Give me a second.
Yes.
Try to speak to the left. Oh,
Okay. But why do people in America
right.
associate theft with only black people?
Well, I could say. Okay, can you hear me better now?
All right, let me.
Okay, 1 second.
1 second.
Okay. We're here. Can you hear me?
Give me 1 second. All right. How's
Okay,
that?
that's great.
Perfect.
We're in the house.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, whenever you have a minority population among a predominant general population, it's always easy to blame the society's ills on that fringe population that to make them the blame for all their problems. But in truth and in fact, most of the crimes are committed by the members of the majority population. But it's again easier to blame the fringe population with the crimes of society and make that their boogeyman. You know, that's the go-to. But really and truly look at the statistics, they commit more crime, but punishment is meted out differently, and the way that the justice system is set up, it's set up for us to receive more harsher punishment for the same or lesser crimes than they are. So that's basically it. It's not a secret. It's not rocket science.
Mm-hmm.
If you look
We
at
talk-
and then speaking on crime in general, why there's so much crime? Crime is always associated with lack of opportunity, jobs. You study any society, modern society, that is, since we're talking about contemporary crimes, high
Okay.
employment, lower crime. Low employment or lack of employment opportunities, higher crime. You have a job paying you a livable wage where you can have disposable cash to pay your expenses and enjoy your recreational activities or whatnot. You don't have time for to be committing a crime. You don't want to, but lack of job and opportunity produces anger, despair, desperation. All those things go towards people doing things that they wouldn't normally do. That's in any society. Good job,
Okay.
livable wage, plentiful, low crime. No jobs, barely getting by, high crime. That's in any group.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Why is there so much black on black crime in America? Why is there so much black on black crime in America?
There's black crime wherever black people live, not just in the United States. There's black crime, and you're going to commit crimes on people who live around you. There's white on white crime. There's brown on brown crime. There's Asian on Asian crime. But again, as in my first statement, the boogeyman here in the United States has always been the Negro. So we're going to blow up their crimes, their indiscretions. You know, no matter what it is, the slightest indiscretion, we're gonna play that up. That sells in the media. We're their go-to boogeyman. We live rent free in their heads. Even when we're not around, they're thinking about us, what we're doing.
Okay. Now. Let's be truthful. Okay. Crimes in America. We talking about statistics.
Yeah.
Crime in America is being committed more by the black race.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Listen, black on black crime. Do you know what the pretty much like the prison population as for blacks,
Okay.
white,
This is it.
Hispanics.
14,
But-
14% of the population, but we make up more, probably double, triple that in the penal system. Again,
Yeah, I'm just saying.
when you
but-
have
but
systemic
let's-
racism, lack of opportunity,
Okay.
people are going to commit crimes. But we're not
But-
doing any more crime than, say, the white community. It's just that they're not punished as severely as us. That's just
Now
a
listen.
fact.
Now listen. Black on black crime in America. It's far more of us killing each other than our counterparts.
That's not true.
Yes.
They just,
Yes.
they just don't report a lot of numbers on what they do.
Look, we have to face the fact, right? Face the fact in our community. There's a lot of crime being committed.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a
of crime, but
lot of black on black crime. When we
no
look
more-
at the prison
no more-
population.
no more so than when white on white crime.
Okay,
And
brother Adrian, let me tell
the
you.
prison population is not a good indication of who is committing most violent crime or crime in general, because again, we get harsher sentences for the same crime that they do.
Some of that might be true.
No, some might be true.
But
That is a fact.
what I'm saying is, listen, we have a problem
Yeah, we do.
in our community, and we don't need to sugarcoat.
We're not
Right.
going to sugarcoat. I'm not sugarcoating. I'm just giving the hard, honest facts.
Yes,
We commit crime.
but listen,
Yeah, we listen. We want criminals to be punished. If you commit a crime, do the time, but not more so than the other guy that commits the same crime because of his damn skin color. We want equal across the board. If I get 5 years for marijuana, whatever amount it is, the white guy should get the same for the same amount, whether it's crystal meth or whatever choice drug that they're used, but that's not the case. That is not the case.
a lot of times it's not. Some of the time it is not. But
A
that's
lot
not
of
the case.
time, no, a lot of the time, 'cause as you just say, the prison population is represented majority by us. So that tells you it's more so than not.
Okay, let me ask you a question, sir. So you're trying to say that we don't have a real problem in the black community?
Yeah,
with this-
we do have a real problem. But I'm just
Oh,
saying,
okay.
I'm just saying, punishment should be equally distributed. Punishment
some
and
ca-
sentences should be, and it's not. That's why, according to what you just say, we have higher numbers in the penal system.
Well,
The numbers don't lie.
And a lot of them that's in the penitentiary need to be there. You
Of
do
course.
have a few.
Yeah,
You
a lot
do
of
have
them
a few.
get that. A lot
Yeah,
of
you
them-
do have
a lot
a
of them
few
get-
innocent people.
Yeah.
You know that
But-
did not do the crime, but for the most part,
Well, I'm going to say it like this. You and I, in the last 20 years, you had the numbers, and the number increases every year of the Innocence Project, where you see people all over the United States that were railroaded into prison. They come find out that evidence was manufactured by prosecutor and police. They weren't given a due process, and these people are being released every day. They talk about our people. It's called the Innocence Project. Look at the number every year. There's hundreds of people that have been to jail that were totally innocent. The
Yes.
evidence was manufactured against them. That
Okay,
also makes
but-
up a high number of why we are the majority in the penal system. You have to take that into consideration. It just didn't happen in a vacuum.
listen. We look at our community, right? Who is
Right.
committing the most crime?
Well,
We
in
see,
your commu-
we
in
seeing,
your-
we
listen,
seeing,
in-
but hold
in
on, no,
our
we're seeing
community-
you're
in
seeing
our-
young black men,
In our community,
and let's
we-
be honest.
in our community, we commit the crime because we live in the community. You don't go out your community and commit crime. You commit crime among people who are just like you. So that's not the argument. Who's committed a crime in the community, in our black communities? Yeah, it's black people. But so are the other communities. They're committing crime in their communities, but it's not reported in the same way.
But I just
I'm
say
making.
it's more. We commit
No,
more
sir.
crime.
No, sir.
Black on black. We do.
No, sir. No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
The statistic says that we commit 60% of the crime in America.
No. You see,
60%.
you have to watch 60%, and about 30% of that, according to what's happening with the Innocence Project, is manufactured.
Okay, so you don't
Can't
think we need
ignore
to
that.
face? We need to face reality
Yeah.
in our community.
Yeah.
Let's face reality.
Yeah.
Our people are committing the most crime.
In
It's the
our
truth.
community. In our community. That's not in our community. Of course, listen, if I got a beef, who am I going to lash out at? Guy in my community next to me. I'm not going to go across the street to Lee Chan or Bobby McGregor in his community or Mr. Yang's community. I'm going to hit out who's right next to me. Of course, I'm committing the most crime in my community. That's where I live. But so are they, but that's not reported, and they're not prosecuted the same way. That's the point I'm making.
All right. Since America has the highest number of incarcerated black people compared to anywhere in the world, what is the main reason for this? Is it because of poverty?
Go ahead.
Let me put that back. Since
Poverty.
America has the highest number of incarcerated black people compared to anywhere in the world, what is the main reason for this? Since America has the highest number of incarcerated black people compared to anywhere in the world, what is the main reason for this? What's the main reason?
Well, you go first since I just went first. What do you think? And then I'll give you my piece. I'll give you exactly what's the real deal. Go ahead.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think it's lack of education, drugs, and some of it is an unfair judicial system. Okay, and then let's be honest. Can we just be plain? The real problem is it starts at the home. Okay, that's what I think the real problem is. It starts at home. If we start grabbing these kids, and a lot of parents need to stop trying to be the kid's buddy, be the friend, and there should be discipline in the house. Certain things you don't do, but you have to start when they're young. You can't wait till they get 16 and then you want to, play mom and dad. You have to start when they are young, okay? And instill values in them, okay? So a lot of it, believe it or not, it starts at home. But it is the lack of education. I think drugs. Now we haven't even talked about drugs. We bring drugs in our communities, right? And it's killing our people. But we want to talk about the black community. But who bringing the drugs in the community? Who's killing our people? Who's killing the black people their own? Right? That's why we have we have more crime. We have more people incarcerated. Yeah, there are some innocent people in prison that did not do it, but majority of them are there. They did commit the crime, and we have a real problem in the black community. It's not just the black community now. It's a lot of other communities, but mainly in our community, the crime rate is up. People dying every day. We cannot turn a deaf ear to that. Drugs, mainly. And it's in our community. Okay? They will kill you over a small amount of money. They'll take somebody else's life. That's happening in our community. That's large number incarceration because we are doing the crime. Most of the crime. not all of it. We are committing most of the crime. I know you probably disagree with that.
And the reason I disagree with that last part, there's some other points I see your point. Again, example, I've seen footage where Caucasian people face down, literally, physically get in the cop's face, cuss them out, belligerent, tell them all type of crap. And they're told just to kindly step back, get back into your car. Me and you try that? Jail. That's just a small example of how crime and punishment is meted out. What they can do and get away with, which would be an arrest for us, is blatant. Now, let me go back to what you said at first with the other ones. Education. You got a system here in the United States where the education, first of all, is supposed to inspire, prepare, and also bring pride to the person who's being taught. First of all, the education system here, as it's taught, is watered down and Eurocentric. So the black child has to have some sort of alternative backup to counter that narrative, either homeschooling or community schooling taught by people that look like him, because Caucasian Americans are not going to teach the black kid what he needs to know. So first of all, he's at a disadvantage going to their schools, learning under their system. He can play the game and do the lessons or whatnot and matriculate through the system, but still he's been given an education that basically he doesn't even speak to him or his history or his culture. So a lot of kids turn away from that because they don't see themselves in the textbook or history books or anything that says that you come from people that made or were contributors to the great civilization of this planet. So that turns a lot of people off right there from the education system or trying to learn anything, because they don't see themselves in it. But if you ever notice, when kids are homeschooled, where there's a dedicated parent or parents and they homeschool, they do way better than kids in the public or private schools for that matter. I've seen countless examples. Just 2 years ago? This lady with 2 black sons. One guy was 15, man. And he already had an associate's working on his bachelor's, homeschool. And his brother's following in his directions. He's, I think, 2 years younger. That's all across the board. So if you don't have a good education system, first of all, you're going to do a disservice to the kids. And they're not going to want to learn if they don't see themselves in the curriculum. They see everybody else as being great, but their history is, they're told, you didn't contribute anything to history or anything great. Who wants to go to school after being exposed to that year in and year out? So I understand that part, but like you said though, comes down to the parent or the village. Now look at what's happening in Florida because of the that bill that was passed by Governor DeSantis. Because every time they say vote, they're really talking about anti-black history in school,
Yes.
A critical race, they call it critical race theory because it's critical to them that it's not taught. For us, we don't say critical race theory, we call it critical race fact because it's critical for us that it is taught. So now a lot of the churches in Florida since they're are not part of the education system, and he can't touch them with that bill he signed, they are now teaching a full curriculum of Black history. They have a website and everything with all their classes and whatnot, all through the state of Florida, and that's going to spread. I think that's the best thing that's ever happened, because a lot of our kids don't need to be in their public schools. They don't teach them anything. But if you give them a good dose of their own history, back with the fundamentals, arithmetic, reading, writing, you'll see a big change in numbers and academics. But it has to start. I think that's a good. I'm glad he did that, because folks have been asleep. We are trusting the person who's never taught us anything right about ourselves to teach our kids. We send them off to these public schools founded by the state, who's never taught our history, relegated it to maybe one page of history. Well, this is where you started. You were a slave, and then the civil rights movement, a little bit of Harriet Tubman. That's it. There ain't nothing else about you. So I'm glad it happened, because now the real history has to be taught. And that's because if you start learning that, hey, I came from people who were scientists, engineers, astronomers, physicians. You know, we mapped the whole planet. We were cartographers and stuff. And he said, oh, wow, we did that? The people that look like me did that? Well, then that's going to inspire the kids today to lean towards more the academics instead of sports and all that stuff that we really don't need. We already know that we're great at sports. We have that natural ability. We don't need to even have that discussion. But we need to get back to what we truly were: educators and scientists, mathematicians, doctors, and whatnot. So yeah, but it has to be taught by us, not under their system. Then it will work. That's point blank. It's not going to work under their system. Then you'll see kids want to go to school and learn, but the parents also have to get involved too. They need to be re-educated also. They have to be. It has to be more than you just turning up for the basketball game, but you don't want to go to a parent-teachers meeting. We saw that in that movie, Coach Carter. They all showed up for the basketball game, and then when Coach Carter tried to inspire pride in the boys, telling them, hey, every away game, you got to wear a suit and tie. They had a big hoopla over it, because Coach Carter's telling them, what's the problem? They arguing about buying this stuff for their kids. But then when Coach Carter told them, look, right down the street in the neighborhood, there's a thrift store, a Salvation Army store. Then they come with the other argument. What you saying? We can't afford good. See, he just gave you a solution to what you said was a problem. Then now that he gave you a solution, you had to come with some side argument now, because you just don't want to do right and have your boys dressed right and respectable. He had to lock the gym. He locked the gym because the grades were down. He told them, y'all need to read the contract. It says student athlete, not athlete student. You got your student first. Grades got to be up there for you to play basketball. And they were mad. Their parents getting mad. They didn't care. All they cared about is the games, and maybe my boy go to the league. We're only 1%. These people make it to the leagues. They don't understand that. So they're mad at the coach. So the whole mentality has to change. You got to get off this sport and play, and start embracing academics. That's the adults. Because they put that into the kids that's the only thing that matters. No, it's not. Anybody can bounce a ball and throw it through. And I can train a dog to do that. That's where it starts.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We like to blame other people, but we have to apply ourselves. I believe in America, in this day and time, right? This day and time, I believe you could be whatever you want to be. I believe you could be whoever you want to be if you work hard. If you go to school, if you study, if you do all those things, apply yourself right here in this country, I believe you can be whatever you want to be.
And
Do
you don't
you
have
be-
to. You don't have to believe. It's just a fact. Like you said, if you apply yourself, the more you do something, the better you become at it. If you read a lot, do a lot of academics, guess what? You're gonna become excellent at it. Just like if you bounce a ball or throw a pitch or a foot.
Yes.
See, but you concentrate on academics more, then you will become very good at it. That's where the emphasis is not on sports and play. We already know what we can do on the court or on the football field or on the base. We already know. That's not even a discussion. But we need to get back to what we were before all of this distractions, sport and play came in. That's all it is. Sport and play is a distraction. Academics, but based on Afrocentric curriculum. Let's not forget that. Has to be based on Afrocentric curriculum first. Another thing now, also you touched on the drugs
Yes.
and guns.
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you something that happened here. I'm gonna show you how this country works. It can cure a lot of this stuff if it wanted to, but it doesn't, because again, it feeds the racial dynamic of a permanent underclass and the elite controlling everything. Let me give you an example. Back in the that's before the Civil War and stuff, the 1860s and stuff, 1850s, 1840s. Yeah, a lot of immigrants coming here from Europe. A lot of people from like Ireland. A lot of the Irish folks were coming over. A lot of them left in mass because there was a famine over there in Ireland. Called the potato famine. But so they left, came to the States, and they were marginalized too at first because they were the new guy on the block. But they were still Caucasian, but they were the new guy. And they were discriminated against by other Europeans that already had roots here, their other British cousins. Because it's all Great Britain, England, Wales, Scotland, Ireland, all that's Great Britain. But the ones that were already established here were from England, and they used to discriminate against the Irish brothers. They did the same thing. Everything was blamed on them. The most crime, they were the boogeyman of society, And it got so bad that you had young gangs of Irish youth roving the streets of places like New York City and stuff, fighting one another. It was horrible. They were killing one another left and right. Had no jobs. Young men full of energy, testosterone, wanted to prove themselves. And they hit the gangs, man. You read about it. They called it the gangs. They made a movie about it, the gangs of New York. They were killing one another left and right. And the knife was the main culprit back then. Fellas had guns too, but knife. And the government said, no, we gotta step in. And they stepped in and created job programs specifically for the Irish youth. Job programs and training. Guess what? Crime went down. Mm-hmm. Now flip that around to the modern day, in the 60s and 70s and stuff with our kids. They could have done the same if they did it in the 1860s and the 50s and prior to that, prior to the Civil War. With the United States not being what it is today in contemporary times. If they did it then for them, there were hundreds of thousands of them. Hundreds of them running around the streets crazy, killing one another, stabbing one another, robbing and raping. They own. It was white on white crime. The Irish and other whites that live amongst them in those tenements in New York City and Brooklyn and all those places. And they came up with a program, job programs for them. But when it was us going through it, they said, "Oh no, they could have stepped in because they by then they got even more resources. Oh no, let's criminalize them and put them in jail." And that really started too once the Civil Rights Movement ratcheted up. Before the Civil Rights Movement, during from after Reconstruction all the way to the 1900s, the 19 teens, the 1900s, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. Most crime in this country was committed by white males. Black people were pretty much controlled by the general population. We were controlled because you had Jim Crow. So we really kept to ourselves. Our numbers in the penal system was low. But once the civil rights movement kicked off, a lot of legislation started getting passed and whatnot, and the average white citizen couldn't just come and dominate and control a black person and police them. They replaced that now with their law enforcement. And the law enforcement then took the place of the average white citizen. After civil rights bills and stuff were passed and stuff, then you start seeing a steady climb of now the more incarcerations now are black people, black males especially. As soon as they passed those bills, the white cop replaced the average white citizen as the over policer. You can show you the numbers right now. And that's what led and they said, we're not going to step in. Let's criminalize them. They could have done the same thing they did for the Irish youth, but they chose not to.
Okay.
Yeah. See, a lot of people don't know that, but you got to really study the history of this country to see that disparity. Could have fixed it right away, but they said no. Same thing with you said drugs. Let's touch on drugs. When the crack epidemic hit Black America in the 80s, we all remember that.
Yes.
Destroyed, decimated our communities. We were buying it, we were selling it to, pure. I mean, hyped up. What is it? Cocaine and whatnot coming from overseas in Asia and Latin America. Let's not forget where it's coming from, because you said yes. Now, who brings in this stuff? So we're gonna touch on that too. It's not us. We don't own no yachts. We don't own no private jets. So who was bringing this stuff in? So now you got this stuff called crack in the black community. Let's criminalize them and put them in jail. Come up with harsh sentences. Right? Had all these crime bills that were passed. The war on drugs was really a war on the black community. There ain't no war on drugs, or war on us. But again, now let's come down to the 2000s, and you got the meth problem in the white community. Yes, it's deadly as crack, or even more deadly than crack. Meth is even worse than crack, killing hundreds of them every day. What do? They didn't criminalize them. They come up with a soft approach. Oh no, it's not a criminal act now. It's a disease. Drug addiction is a disease. When it was black people, it was criminalized. When it's white people, it's a disease. They need help. They need counseling. They need to be sent to nice centers where they can recover and have a second chance of being productive citizens back in society. When black doing it, wasn't no disease. It was exactly what it was. It was a drug problem. Now they want to push. Yeah, now they want to push. Now that their communities are catching hell from this, it's a disease. See the difference?
Well, but when you go back to the when the crack cocaine epidemic hit the United States of America, it affected the black community the most. And the black people, here's the thing though, the black people and black leaders was pressing even the president, former President Clinton, to do something about it. That's why he passed that 3 strikes you out. They pressured him to do that.
Well,
Jesse and all them, Reverend Jack, they pressured Bill Clinton to do that.
We had this
they were saying, but they were saying that something had to be done, and he did it.
Listen,
right?
There's no argument. There's no argument in that. What they weren't asking for, they were asking for crime and punishment. What they weren't asking for was unfair crime, the crime and the punishment. We get it disproportionately punished, while other people who were doing at that time heroin, same amount, same weight, getting a slap on the wrist or reduced sentence, while we for crack were going to jail. So that they weren't.
But were they committing crimes though?
Pardon me?
Were they committing crimes?
They were committing
crimes.
crimes.
That's the crime bill. They were crack cocaine had dominated the African American community.
Well, you said were they committing crime? Using heroin and cocaine is committing a crime.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, violent crimes, were they killing each other like what was happening in our neighborhood? But see, people point back to the crime bill,
right?
And they blame President Clinton for it. He only did what the black leaders wanted him to do.
Okay, but
something had to be done because it was dying.
They weren't saying incarcerate us at a higher rate than other people for the same damn crime. They weren't saying that. They say, yeah, we do a crime, we go to jail, but not hit me with a higher sentence and fine than the other guy that's doing the same thing with another drug. That's not what they were saying. They didn't ask for that. They just said, yes, you do a crime, we want punishment and laws enforced and toughened. But they were talking in general terms. Everybody should get it like that, but that's not how it went down. They didn't ask for that. So let's be honest, they didn't ask for that to incarcerate us more at a higher rate for the same amount of the a white boy. No. I know what they asked for. What you said is true, but they didn't ask for that. Yeah, they asked for it, man. We want something done about this here. But of course,
can we fast forward
to another level?
Okay, can we fast forward to today? Don't you think something needs to be done?
This is what needs to be done.
When we look at our community, something is wrong. Something is wrong.
First of all, with drugs, let's start with drugs.
Yes.
The drug problem could be solved overnight if they wanted to. But you know why? It's a $1 billion industry, and a lot of people in Washington benefit from it. It could be solved overnight. Any country that can put a damn man on the moon can stop damn drug trade if they wanted to. They have poppy fields out there in Afghanistan that produce heroin.
Yes.
Specific orders were given to the military not to destroy those poppy fields. I wonder why. Ta-da!
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Oliver North getting drugs from down in Central America, and in turn paying the drug dealers with arms to fight these little wars down in Central America, and then they paying for the drug, they paying for the arms with drugs. Then they put the drugs in the black community. Colonel Oliver North, during the Reagan administration. That's what they were doing. And they call it the Contra affair. That's what he was doing.
Yes.
Supplying their weapons. They pay in drugs. They send the drugs up here and filter and push it into the black community. You know, black people flying private planes from El Salvador and Nicaragua, got yachts and stuff. That's how it gets in here. And you listen, there have been reports of freight cars coming through the predominantly black neighborhoods of any city in the United States, and one night somebody busted it open. They just left the freight cars right there. Nobody knew who the freight belonged to. They just dropped the freight, left the doors open. Over a ton of semi-automatic machine guns and other firearms. Right in the black community. Black people don't own the railways. Or who's doing that? That's purposely done. They know exactly what they're doing. Why they didn't drop it off over in the suburbs? They got rail lines that run through. So how come you just happen to a freight train full of weapons stop right in the heart of the black community with the door open and unlocked, machine guns, AKs, and all that stuff? That's a fact. Just like with the poppy field. Why? If you're so anti-drugs and you have control of the airspace in a region where the main plant that produces heroin and stuff is going, you can destroy it with just firebombing it. But you say hands off? That's your problem right there. Greed, power, manipulation, and to maintain the status quo. You want to keep a certain people as a permanent under, so you hit them with all the negative stuff, and then what the old folks say, throw a rock and hide your hand. Oh, I don't know how I got there. Yeah, really. That's the problem. You have a corrupt system that's from top to bottom. Instead of going overseas and trying to tell other countries about human rights and all that crap, fix what you got right here, because you can fix it. They just don't want to.
Okay. That's
the problem. Nobody wants to talk about that. If you say something like that, well, man, well, there's all type of excuses. But explain to me why you don't destroy your poppy field. You got one of the greatest air forces in the world. Explain to me how freight trains come through into the black neighborhood full of arms. Who brings it in? Ain't no black engineer conduct on that train. I know that. No black millionaires controlling that. That's just a fact. Got caught. That thing happened here in Dallas. Then the police came and they confiscated it. Wonder what they did with the arms. They part of the problem too. Don't tell me that they didn't know that. And that goes on in a lot of in the cities here in the United States. Who brings the drugs? Who brings the drugs and the guns in? We don't own yachts, private yachts, and private Lear jets that land at the outskirts of the airport, not close to the terminal, by them big hangars where you don't know what's going on. We don't own none of that. That's where all that stuff comes in. They make deals with drug dealers every day, from Latin America, from Asia, and it makes them rich. They could solve it overnight, but that would mess up their problem. You keep a certain segment of the population poor, criminalized, killing one another, that means that they're not watching what you're doing in Washington. You can get away with anything. Yeah, because they in a survival mode. They fighting every day in their neighborhoods and ghettos that you created.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the problem.
All right, let's move. Let's see. All right, why are we ignoring the fact that black crime rates have surged by 38%? Is this the society we want to live in?
No, we don't want to live in it. Now, nobody's ignoring it. We know it's there. But like I say, all the previous things I stated before, that's why it's there. Regardless of the percentage of it, it could be solved overnight. Like I said, any country that can put a man on the moon can solve its crime problem. You didn't just put one man on the moon. You had multiple missions to the moon. You know, it's billions of dollars that cost. Yes. What if they took that money and put it toward social programs and stuff? Think about what could have been.
Right.
You're sending men 250,000 miles out into space. Start with Apollo 11 was the first one. Apollo 12. Right. Mm-hmm. Apollo 12. Apollo 13, they make it. They had malfunctions and they had to return. Well, shoot, they went all the way to the moon. They orbited the moon. They had to come back because they had a lot of serious malfunctions. They almost died. But Apollo started with Apollo 11, Apollo 12, Apollo 13, Apollo 14, Apollo 15, and I think it was Apollo 16. Last of the astronauts landed on the moon in the early 70s. Mm-hmm. That's what 5 or 6 moonshots. It's billions of dollars. That what if they had took that money and put it towards social programs and whatnot like they should have. They sent a
Right.
man to the moon. If you can do that, you can stop drugs. You can create jobs and stuff for people who've been marginalized for hundreds of years. That's not it. Just you don't want to, and you like it that way.
Okay. All right. What do we need to do to reduce crime in our community?
Separate.
What's that?
Separate. When we were separate, ever since integration, everything went to hell. Separate. Invest in our own communities. Yeah, you're laughing, but look at how it was back then where we had our own schools, our own teachers, our own funeral homes, all bus services, all taxi services. We were segregated, but we had everything.
It's not.
Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. As soon as integration happened, all the laws changed in the schools. No more corporal punishment. You can't paddle the kids anymore. You know why? Because now you got black teachers teaching white kids. We don't want them hitting our kids. So no more paddling. So now the kids now don't fear the teachers. Now you got this problem. When it was segregated, we taught how we wanted to teach, and we did fine. We were saying a high percentage of our people back then were going to predominantly black universities, which was fine. And you had discipline. You had a better family structure. None of this feminist nonsense. You had male and female in the household. Most people got married. You had couples raising their kids. Now, was a kid raised by single women who don't know who the hell they are. I thought they don't need a man. But when a kid starts to get a little bigger and get some muscle on him, oh boy, I'm gonna send you to your father. Too late now. He practically grown. You kept him away from him for the formative years of life when he needed that man presence to teach him a man things. And now he put on some muscle and he taller than you now. Oh man, I call your father. Oh, the same guy you were keeping away from. And you wonder why you're walking around the street crazy looking, doing a lot of dumb stuff. You gotta have accountability, but you have to have things in place of the family structure and follow the laws of nature. Stop trying to do things that you are not designed to do. Man's supposed to lead and protect. Woman is there for counseling and nurturing. You don't want to flip those roles. You're gonna have problems. Not gonna work. I could raise a daughter as a man. I can raise a little girl as a man. Yeah, Clover, feed her. Even learn to do her hair, send it to school. But when it comes to the little nuances of what it is to be a woman, and teach her that she needs a woman.
I understand.
But vice versa, yeah, a woman could raise a son, send him to school, bathe him, teach him, comb his hair, buy him clothes and stuff. But when it comes to the little nuances of what it really means to be a man, she has no clue. You know why? Because she ain't no man. She never was a man. She never will be a man. You need a man to teach a man. Just like you need a woman to teach her. When you say you need those two to have a more well-rounded child. The statistics that there are kids that grew up in a two-parent household, the statistics, they do better academically and socially. But you got this single mother stuff now. Gotta get back to that, man. Stop with the foolishness. And stop being afraid to say it.
Stop being afraid to.
Yeah.
Listen. Okay, but still, we talking about reducing crime. So
that's part of it.
Start in the home. Well, we talking about starting in the home.
There you go.
Right?
That's why I just said you need that guy get back that two-parent dynamic, make a better, well-rounded individual.
Is that always the case, though?
Yeah. That is ain't no perfect scenario, but 90% that's the case.
It's a lot of us grew up in singing.
Yeah, but still, that's not the ideal. If you had asked them that single parent, would you rather do it against a single or with a partner? They're gonna say 100% with a partner.
But still, I mean, I think it's based upon the individual. That's what I think.
Regardless of the individual.
There are single mothers out there. There's single mothers out there that raise their children,
Listen, I didn't
and they
say
go
that.
out and be
I just
successful.
said it's. I didn't say that. I said it's easier when you have a two-parent household. It's more conducive. I say there's nothing perfect, but that is perfect for a better individual society-wise. A two-parent household, male and female.
Okay, so that will reduce crime
About-
in our communities.
Yes, because then you got the father there. He's there. He's the enforcer. Hey, man, you know you're not supposed to do that. He ain't gonna rush up to his dad like you would with his mom when he get 13 or 14 and he's a little bigger with muscle. He already know what's gonna happen. That'll knock you down. You got that fear of your father. Nobody ever says no two-parent household. You will never hear even a stay-at-home dad tell a kid that's bad. Wait till your mother comes home. No, it doesn't go that way. It's always wait till dad comes home. It's a different energy with a man.
Well, like I said, I just think it's individual. I just think, I mean, to me, it's an individual basis. You know, there are some kids that grow up with the father in the home, and they still turn out to be bad kids, right?
I mean,
Unsuccessful.
look at the president's son. Look at the president's son. He was born into wealth and opportunity.
Yes.
And
he still turned to drugs.
Still got on crack and drugs. So yeah, there's always the exception to the exception to the few. Yeah, you're right. But majority of the time, you're not seeing that 90% of the time with mom and dad raised kids. That's an exception to the rule. Hunter Biden or people like him. That's exceptions to the rule. But usually you have mom and dad. The 85, 99% of the time, the outcome is better than when it's just a one parent. Even a single dad, wherever the reason is that the mother might have died or separated. Even single dad, it's tough on a single dad, man. Like I say, he can't, especially if he had daughters. Can't teach them how he can raise them, protect them, but there's certain things he can't teach them as a man because he ain't never been a woman, will never be a woman. He's not a woman. Yes, you need that balance. You need that balance. You need a male, female principle to go into that child, man. Gives them a way better chance in society, academically and socially.
So you're saying that single parent homes is the reason why we have so much crime? That's what you're saying? A
lot of crime, a lot of it. Like I say, there's no perfect scenario. Ain't no just black and white. There's a lot of grays in the middle, but a lot of it, yes. You have a lot of guys raised with mothers, and they're raised with a lot of female energy around them, and they grow up and they handle problems like females, and that gets them in trouble.
All right then, Adrian, our time is about up for tonight. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I have enjoyed our time on here tonight, and all good things must come to an end. We appreciate your expertise, right? We appreciate your expertise, and thank you for sharing with us knowledge that you have, and this is what we're going to be. This is going to be our platform. Okay, how are we going to combat neighborhood crime? It's crime in all neighborhoods, but especially in our community, right? And we need answers.
Before you go, I've seen a couple of neighborhoods where black fathers have come together in the community and are starting to patrol their own neighborhoods and police their own neighborhoods. That's
Yes.
that's having a big positive effect. Again, the male presence, the male energy, that protective energy has to be there. You
Okay.
gotta have your warriors in any society to maintain law and order. If you don't, you can forget it. You gotta have that warrior spirit and that warrior class present. And that's always been the main.
Okay. All right then. Well, we're going to say thanks for tuning in, and we're going to say good night tonight. Until next time, we will see you all later.